All right, folks, in this video, we're gonna bolt these tracks onto this 2021 JL. That's my own personal JL. And these are the Rubitracks mountain tracks. So these tracks have never actually been on a vehicle. We've never even tried to bolt them on. And here we have them already powder coated, assembled, ready to go to a customer in Nevada. So we're gonna put these on and see just how they fit. We're not gonna worry, this is not an install video per se. So we're not gonna hook up the chains and stuff like that. All we wanna do is put them on this thing, see how much it lifts it. We're gonna see where any clearance issues might be and what might have to be done in order to make these things work properly. Okay, so before we jack this thing up and put the tracks on it, right now this thing's at stock ride height, like stock Rubicon, no lift ride height, right? So we want to see how much we're actually going to gain by bolting the tracks on. So we're going to take our measuring tape. We're going to pick any point on the vehicle because whether it's the mirror or the rocker panel, everything goes up the same amount. We're just going to measure to it now. And then once we get the tracks on, we'll measure to it again and we'll see what the differential is. I'm guessing it's going to be 8 inches. I think we're going to get a total vehicle lift of 8 inches. That's axles and everything are going to come up. That's not just body off suspension. That's everything up in the air. So just so I don't have to crawl on my knees, we're going to pick this bolt right here to measure to. 29.5 inches, okay? Can you see it there? We'll call it 29.5 to the center of that bolt. That's where we're gonna measure to once we get the tracks on. So 29.5, remember that. I'm hoping we're gonna get up high enough. This blue jack is a little bit smaller jack and it might not want to go up as high as the red one. That's it for the blue jack. We'll get our impact wrench. I don't think we're up high enough, but we'll start on this side because we know that the red jack will go up higher, and then if we have to move the red jack to the other side, we will. Now again, this is not an install video. This is kind of just a let's see how they look video. Normally we'd take our wire wheel and clean this face all off. It's pretty clean anyway, but for the sake of this video, we're just going to stick it together. Just there are 2 bags of lug nuts. Is 1/2 inch 20 for the adapters, and the other set are 14 by 1.5. There, that's plenty tight for what we're gonna do. All right, let's see if this bugger's gonna go on there. Oh yeah, I think we're good. Turn that so it's easy to visualize. And we'll make the track match that. We gotta go up a good bit more. I don't know if you can see in there, but definitely that blue jack is not gonna do it. That's about the right height, I think. Okay. See if we can fit this in there. There, we're on. Well, it fits So these are our dual pattern adapter option. They're only available for Jeep Wranglers. And that's because Jeep Wranglers all the way back to say 1987, the Jeep YJ till current used the same pilot bore diameter, but when they went to the JK, they changed the bolt pattern. So they went from 5 on 4.5 to 5 on 5 bolt patterns. So we're able to dual drill these to get both bolt patterns in there, but we can't do it with any other options because the pilot would change. These adapters, they're lug centric, but they're also pilot centric for a little bit more insurance. Okay, same thing, we'll adjust that and get this son of a gun in place. Okay, I'll take a look in back and see how close we are. We're very close and we're high enough. Turn that rotor a touch. Gotta go that way a little bit. Maybe we gotta go that way a little bit. There. Come on. All right, that's already looking pretty mean, eh? They call that the Carolina squat. The Rubitracks Carolina squat. Now, right now, it looks like we have lots of room, and technically we do, but we got to remember this Jeep is tipped back right now, right? So when we bring the ass up, that front bumper is going to come down and get a lot closer to the track. I bet you only within a couple of inches probably by the time we're done. But we'll find out as soon as we get the back two on.
A few moments later.
That's it. Rubitracks mountain installed on a 2021 Jeep JL Rubicon. There you have it. First one ever. Take you for a walk around here. Whew. So that took us, obviously this will be edited, but 50 minutes to do that here in the shop with Jackson and that impact. Let's see what we gained. We're at 37 inches, okay? So what's 37 minus 29 and a half? 7.5 inches, that's how far we went up. 7.5 inches over stock. That's all under axle, like everything went up. All that extra height is in the track itself. So you're not only getting 7.5 inches of lift by bolting the tracks on, you're getting a final drive reduction just by virtue of the fact that our sprocket is a smaller diameter than what your tire would be by, you know, a factor of almost 40%, right? So it's kind of like having a gear in between, let's say, high range and low range in a transfer case. Because if you really think about it, the Rubicon, it's got 4-to-1 reduction. I can't comment on the differentials now. I know the old ones were 410 gears. Perhaps this was 410 also. I never looked into it. But they're fairly slow if you want them to be. And then to reduce it again out here, it's almost like having planetary. So this thing will crawl if you want to crawl. With tracks, that's not as big of a deal because we're not crawling over rock. But the other notable feature about this, we've got our high nose here, right? So on our Rubitracks 136, that nose would stop right here and the track would come up. So this is going to help us get on top of the snow and stay on top of the snow and deal with the deeper stuff, right? So we've got the high nose. We're an inch higher, 1.25 inches actually higher at the spindle than we are with the new 136. Our rear idler is also 1 inch higher off the ground to help us back out of things. Just gives us a little bit better approach angle. And then on the rear, what we have back here, you'll notice we have more track sticking out the back than the front. And that's for two reasons. One is to make it fit within the fender opening of the Jeep, right? If we were to center this, the track would be really close up here, and you know, a lift will fix that, and I'm pretty confident that this thing will need to be lifted to run these tracks. But in certain cases, like, you can do something with this bumper back here, but you don't want to cut into the rocker panel. So it's better to deal with any clearance issues in the back than it is the front. And certain applications, we could custom build these central, but the other reason for having more track sticking out the back is just a differential in length. We got more track out the back. It's actually going to be lighter in the back than it is in the front. So when you have to reverse out of something, it's going to want to come up a lot easier than it would if the back of the track was right here. So that's the other reason. And one more feature that is brand new this year and was intended to be exclusive to the mountain tracks, but we've decided that we're going to let everybody have it. Let's see if we can put some light on the situation before I tell you what we got back there. Should have had this earlier, but we have it now. We got the triple wide, I shouldn't say triple wide, 5-bar wide sprocket on the rear. So in some situations when you're working hard, these tracks will tend to ratchet, and that's because there is limited contact, as you can see, between the sprocket and these nubs, right? These nubs are only about 3/4 of an inch tall. So when you overpower this, basically what will happen is the bar of the sprocket will skip over and go to the next and skip over. Basically, when you have too much traction on the ground, that can lead to a problem. So what we've done is we've actually, up until now, our sprockets ended here, and we only grabbed 1, 2, 3, 4 nubs, okay? This year we've added a 5th ring on the rear, so that gives us 25% more grip on our track, so like 25% less likely to ratchet. Now, ratcheting isn't necessarily a bad thing. Ratcheting, consider it like a clutch, right? So something's got to give eventually, right? We want this thing to skip before you, say, break an axle, because it's a long walk home and it's hard to get a tow truck in to get you, right? So you don't want this thing so positively connected that the power can't get out if it needs to. That's why on the front, we've stayed with the single wide, or not single wide, we've stayed with the regular sprocket. Well, for 2 reasons on the front. Let's go and check that out now. So on the front, we've stayed with the original sprockets. Let's get our flashlight. So on the front, we've kept with the original sprocket. On the front, we've kept with the original sprocket. As you can see here, we don't have that 5th bar. And that's for 2 reasons. We want the front end should be able to slip before the back. The back generally does most of the work. The front is there to help. The second reason is it would create an interference issue with our chains, right? Our chains run from our bracket up to the lower ball joint, and if this sprocket came all the way out, the chains would actually rub on that sprocket and perhaps risk of getting tangled. So for that reason, we run just the regular sprockets on the front. That's basically it. I don't know what else I can tell you about this thing. You know, that's pretty mean. Jeep Wrangler is the only vehicle that you're going to be able to buy and just bolt tracks on without having to do any sort of work to the vehicle. Like, they fit, because obviously the Jeep has the big open fenders. Now with these mountain tracks, I think we're going to find that you know, you are going to need some lift. You're not going to be able to run this successfully. I mean, you'll run them, but you try to climb over anything at all, we've only got 5 inches there before you know it, that track's going to be into the bumper. So you're going to have to, at minimum, put a stubby bumper on this thing for that track to be able to go up and down. We do seem to have a good bit of room right here between there and the rocker. And in the rear, not so bad, but it is tighter. There's less room between this is the step, obviously. Now, these steps can come off, but the pinch weld for the body is not very much different. So I would say, in all reality, at minimum, with the JL at least, and probably the JK, you're gonna want probably a 3-inch lift to really make these things perform. So there you have it, stare at it for a bit. That's all I had to say for now. There's gonna be a lot more info to come about these things. I just wanted to show you here tonight. Right now, this is limited production. We're only making 6 sets this year. Next year will be a different story, but eat your heart out.